Okay, next in our list is taking a look at the different ways. We're going to look at two different ways that you can set the IPv4 and IPv6 um, address information, host name, DNS, default gateway, and so on. Okay, this one's probably going to take us a little bit longer. There are two, in this distribution of Linux, in OpenSUSE 15.2, there are two popular common ways that this is done. And it is different than a year ago, which was different than a year before that. But as of 15.2, let's take a look. The one that's readily available to you is down here over in the notification area, and you can go to configure network and network connections. Okay. Now there's a lot of stuff here that from a Windows perspective we're not used to seeing. Okay, you can clone it, you can clone a MAC address. Okay, there's a lot of stuff you can do here. Okay, you can even do your 802.1x certificate stuff right here. Okay, so really off of this tab, this utility, we're looking at being able to make settings in these two tabs. Now I want to review them with you and then go show you the other tool, and then you can decide which one you want to use. Okay, so in this one here, this one is referred to as Network Manager. Yeah, yeah, I got that right. Network Manager. The other one is referred to as Wicked, which is, again, Linux has these interesting names. So let's just take a look here. We go up here to the drop down, and these are our different choices. Currently, I'm looking at IPv4, automatic, address only, link local, manual, and so on. So if I was to set manual, I could specify my DNS server. Now, if I had more than one DNS server, I could specify them here. Okay. I can specify my DNS server, my search domains. Often we have more than one search domain. In my case, it's ak.bobsacco.com. My DNS server is the IP address for DC1, the IPv4 address. If I had more than one search domain, I could list them here. So as you type this in, you'll get the add button. Okay. Client ID, I don't need that. If I to actually then enter my IPv4 address, I do it here. Now these boxes, they tricked me a little bit here. So no problem here, right? I got this box. I type in my IP address and it gave me a suggested mask, but it was wrong. And I click on it, notice it, and look, it's not changing. You got to click twice. And then now you can fill in the mask, and you got to click twice, and now you can fill that in, fill in the gateway value. Okay, same thing for IPv6, no different. We can also do static routes right here. We can do that. Okay, with Windows on DC1 and Server 1, you might remember we had to do static routes from the command line, which isn't a problem. Once you've got the syntax, it was easy to do. You can do static routes in Windows if you install routing and remote access. I mean, you can do them with a graphical tool if you install routing and remote access. But here we've got a graphical tool that'll let us do static routes. We don't need any static routes on LNX, none at all. It's over on DevNet and it's fine. Okay, so IPv6, same thing. Now notice the one thing that's not here is host name. Okay, so we can do gateway, we can do mask, we can do IP, we can do DNS, but we can't do the host name here. All right, let me cancel that. Let's go then into YAST and take a look. Okay, and it's not prompting me for a password, I guess because I haven't logged out or logged back in. So in YAST, we go into network. We go into network settings. Now it's interesting because network settings is under system, not under network services. Okay, this stuff you got to get familiar with. So you might be, I don't know if you're kind of like in that frustrated stage. It's like, Randy, I really don't know where to find stuff. Um, it is a little bit challenging in Linux, and because it's different. I mean, it's different between distributions, and it's different even between versions of the same distribution. It is, but it's not as once you get over the initial learning curve, you'll feel more comfortable. In other words, what I'm telling you is that it doesn't take very long to where you're not worried about finding this stuff, especially if you favor one distribution, or if you invest time in a particular distribution. So next question. Okay, well, Randy, for an IT professional, how many different flavors of Linux do they dive into? Well, I would say that most of us work with probably two or three, in different times, not at the same time. I do a thing about every other year where I'll go look at all the popular ones and just see what's new with them. So you go out and you get, like CentOS and Ubuntu and Fedora and you go get these and you just kind of take a look and see what's going on with them. And in doing it every couple of years, I'm familiar enough that I can get in and poke around. Okay, different environment, but I tell you, Linux is cool stuff. So anyways, we go to, it's under system, we could click here if we wanted to, and that would bring it up to the top. We go to network settings. Now watch what's going to happen here. It's going to tell us that this tool is currently not the go-to tool. All right, warning. Network is currently handled by Network Manager, okay? Or completely disabled. In our case, it's Network Manager. This icon down here at the bottom, that's Network Manager, okay? Now, during installation, we could have made a choice. In fact, we saw the choice. I think I pointed out to you during install, there was a choice. It said it was going to favor Network Manager, or you could favor YAST, which is really Wicked. I have trouble remembering that name. Okay, all right. So it's telling us here that's currently the settings are handled by Network Manager, not by this YAST tool, which is really wicked. Say, okay, well, what if I want to change it? Here's how you change it. So I agreed to that. Notice telling me that I can't do anything here. Notice lots of gray and lots of gray and lots of gray here. Warning, warning, warning. But if I wanted to change it, you change it here on the global options tab. You say, I don't want Network Manager anymore. I want Wicked. Now you can do this on the fly. In other words, you could switch over to Wicked. Then all these boxes would light up for you, and you could go in and fill stuff in, and you could use the Wicked commands from the terminal, from the command prompt. They call it terminal in Linux. And then you could come in here and switch back. It's a different world. It's a different world in Windows. Okay, so I want you to see that. If you want, and so if I did it, okay, now I selected Wicked, and now I can do, notice my boxes are all there. I can go to edit. I can give it address information, okay, all that kind of stuff. And this is what I'd encourage you to play with. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and go back and switch it back. Okay, now why you saying, why did I switch it back? Well, I wanted to show you that in either case, whether you're using Network Manager or Wicked, you can set the host name here. You can do that. Okay, you can do that here. Now, I am going to show you also how to do it from the command line, but this is after we get IP configured. So what we need to do now is I'm going to wrap up the video, and I'm going to go and put in all my IPv4, IPv6 values. I'm going to set my host name, my DNS servers, my default gateway. I'm going to do all that. Now, I am on DevNet, and so I'm going to do it all for DevNet. I'm going to make static assignments using one of these two tools. And get all that information in. And then in the next video, what we want to do is we want to move over to a terminal session, command line, and look at, like, how do I do the equivalent of ipconfig? How do I ping? How do I trace route? How do I do NSLOOKUP and that kind of stuff? Okay, you with me on that? All right. I'll wrap up this video. Well, actually, let me pause it first and be sure I didn't miss anything. I don't see that I missed anything, and if I did, let me know, or we'll catch it in another video if it comes to me. So let me wrap up this video, and your job now, and my job, is to go in and pick the tool you want, and I would encourage you to try them both, and get your information entered. And remember, you can snapshot and do and do again, and then we'll meet back and we'll start testing our IPv4 and IPv6.